So what we're going to do, we're going to actually be using a tape measure, and we're going to be measuring out. So if you're just starting out on your hair relaxing journey, perhaps you're wondering, how will I know when to do a relaxer retouch? Now, before I get into giving you the answer to this question, there are little things that we need to discuss first. Because if you're just starting out on your hair relaxing journey, of course, more than likely you would have had natural hair or what we would call virgin hair, meaning that your hair has never been chemically altered. So let's look at that first. When you had virgin hair, or when you just started out on your hair relaxing journey, you would have had natural hair, or as was mentioned, virgin hair. So during that relaxer application, the relaxer would have been placed on the entire shaft. So from root all the way to the end, the entire hair would be covered with relaxer. Now that you have done that process already, your next relaxer service is going to not be a virgin relaxer application, but rather a relaxer retouch, or a retouch relaxer application. So when doing the virgin relaxer application, it is quite fine to put the relaxer on the entire hair shaft. Of course, we don't want the root to be straight and the rest of the hair to be curly. We want the entire hair to be straight, hence the reason why doing a virgin relaxer application, of course, you're going to be placing the relaxer on the entire hair shaft. But once that has occurred, it means then that your next relaxer service is going to be a relaxer retouch. Now, why do we call this next relaxer application a relaxer retouch? The reason why your next relaxer service would call a retouch is because during a retouch application, you are only going to be working with the new growth. So after you've done your virgin relaxer application, your hair doesn't stop growing, it is still growing. And so at this time period now, you're going to be doing a relaxer retouch, where you're going to be putting the relaxer only on the new growth. And because you're only going to be putting the relaxer on the new growth, hence the reason why the term is used retouch, because you're only retouching or reapplying relaxer to the new growth only. You're not going to be putting any relaxer on this previously relaxed hair. So now this brings us to the question now, how are you going to know when you should be doing a relaxer retouch? Now, even if you're brave enough to do your hair by yourself at home, thumbs up to you if you're just starting out and doing it on your own, or perhaps you're going to the salon, it is very important that you know when to do a relaxer retouch. So what we're going to do, we're going to actually be using a tape measure, and we're going to be measuring out our new growth. Now, why are we going to be measuring our new growth? Now, the reason why we are going to be using a measuring tape is because you only want to do a retouch when you have at least an inch. Now, you can relax your hair at 1/2 inch, but I really recommend doing it at 1 inch. So because you're just starting out on your hair care journey, you might not be able to just look at your hair and say, okay, I have 1 inch. So that's the reason why we're just going to measure to ensure that you really have 1 inch. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to take your tape measure, and on the tape measure, you can see there it says 1 inch right there. All right. What we are going to be doing, we are going to be placing it onto the new growth, and we are just going to top off. We are just going to use our finger to just, along with the measuring strokes, to just see exactly where our new growth is and if it is time for a relaxer. So if you look closely, you can see where my new growth is. So from the root here, and then you can see like a demarcation right here. So we're going to put the tape measure right here from the root section, and we're just going to come all the way up, right? And that's it. So if you look, you can see it's almost at 1 inch. So from the root, where I'm holding it right here, all the way up, you can see the inch mark right here, and this is where my new growth is. So it's almost at 1 inch, and that would give you a good indication as to when to relax your hair. So once you have 1 inch of new growth, then that is going to be a good indication to tell you that yes, now is the time for you to do a relaxer retouch. So perhaps now you're wondering, how often should you do a relaxer retouch? Not to worry, I got you. And in this video, you'll get the answer to that question. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.